After 150 hours of soft resets, I finally had my first real Generation 2 shiny. 1 year, 4 months and 3 days ago, I decided to look for a shiny starter Pokemon in Crystal. But who's counting? I've caught many Red Gyarados in Johto since the Gen 2 games first came out, but I'd only ever been unfortunately lucky to find a full odd shiny once. And I didn't even catch it, because it fled. I didn't find another wild shiny for another 10 years, but that's a different story. So I decided to do something I'd never actually done before, and soft reset for a shiny starter Pokemon. I can't believe I've never done this hunt. Although I've looked for other static encounters. It'd be easy, right? It can't run away, and all I need to do is turn the game off and on again until the shiny appears. I started this hunt on Saturday the 4th of March 2023, settling down with my 3DS in one hand and a coffee in the other. I named my character Coffee and set off on my short journey to Professor Elm's lab. We know shiny Pokemon are like diamond dust, and they used to be even rarer, popping up with odds of 1 in 8,192 encounters. There was no such thing as the shiny charm then. My longest ever encounter took me over 100,000 resets, 12 times over the odds, Giratina and Platinum, if you were wondering. My last static hunt, Shaman, went over odds, so I thought I might get a bit lucky this time round. Both of these also took over a year. Anyway, there I was, stood in Professor Elm's lab, staring at 3 Pokeballs. One of these was about to become my partner Pokemon. I used a Totodile on my last run of gold, even though its shiny is pretty solid. The only grass starters I like using are Turtwig, Rowlet and Sprigatito, so Chikorita was out too. That left Cyndaquil. He's purple in Gen 2. He turned brown in later generations. And I used to blast through Johto with a female one when I was younger. It was decided, we're looking for a shiny Cyndaquil, but there's a snag. It can't be female. That's because a Pokemon's attack determinant values, or DVs, that determine its gender also decide if it's shiny. Pokemon that have a 1 in 8 chance of being female, like Cyndaquil, can't be shiny. DVs are complicated, but they're invisible numbers that determine your creature's stats. A female Cyndaquil will always have an attack DV of 0 or 1. A shiny needs an attack DV of at least 2. What this means for our hunt is, we don't need to check every single Cyndaquil. We'll just check for gender on the nickname screen and reset if it's female. There's also one more Cyndaquil that can't be shiny, a male with 20 HP. So we only need to check the males with 18 or 19 HP. I was checking the game every few days at first, picking it up for a bit, then for a few hours, and then every night. This little fire mouse drove me slightly insane. After months of looking, I reached a bit of a wall. I wanted to play the game, but I still hadn't found the shiny. I felt like I was doing the same thing every night.
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
And expecting different results. It was becoming a bit of an obsession, and a year had passed. Again. Another shiny hunt passing the 12-month mark. Each time I booted up the game, I'd be convinced that tonight was the night. Tonight, Cyndaquil would be purple. Only it wasn't. I started to think it wasn't coded into my game, but I knew that was silly. One virtual console copy of Crystal isn't going to be different to millions downloaded. It seemed like every other person on YouTube was finding it. Everyone thousands of encounters before I did. My partner asked me if I'd reset over it. I knew I hadn't, but there were 2 resets which kept bothering me. The time the battery died as I saw it had 18 HP, and the time I just reset over one without checking. He asked me if I wanted him to look for it. No, I didn't. I wanted to find it. I wasn't prepared for it when it happened. I'd spent so long soft resetting, I should probably have expected it at each reset. I'd set aside a full Sunday to look for it. I was watching something on YouTube as I always do, and I nearly reset over it. I was running on autopilot, my eyes glancing to Crystal every few seconds to check for the gender, the HP, and if there were any stars in the top right corner. Tap to reset. I was about an hour deep into the hunt. I'd actually already tapped to pause the game before looking, and I did a double take. 8,971 resets. I was shaking like crazy. I couldn't quite believe it, but sure enough, after 150 hours of resets over 1 year, 4 months and 3 days, I finally had it. After saving, I sent my sparkly Pokemon into battle and admired the swirling stars. I don't think I'll ever become fed up of hearing this sound. Annoyingly, the audio for this hunt didn't actually record. I'm still in two minds about how I'm editing this video, so if it sounds how it should do, then I've spent way too long using the sound from other videos to make it fit. So here he is, my first real Gen 2 shiny. I'm gonna nickname him when I get to Goldenrod. I was thinking of sticking with a coffee theme and naming my team after different types of coffee, beans, or even countries. I'm feeling quite fond of Latte, Robusta and Columbia as nicknames. Of course, when I found it, my partner said, "Does your life even have meaning now you found it? Now what are you gonna do?" Look for something else, of course. I usually have a Wooper on my team and I do like its pink shiny, so I might look for that next. I know I've got one in Shield, but having one in Gen 2 would be really special. There's lots of shinies I plan to look for in Crystal, so I think I'm going to be busy for a while. I've decided to look for the legendaries and Celebi, as well as any static encounters or gifts. I could try and reclaim the Sentret he found when he was a kid, before you give him Pokeballs. Or I could look for a Spinarak, or a Hoot Hoot, or a Ghastly. Why don't you leave your suggestions of what to look for next in the comments below? If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Let me know which shinies I should look for next, and I will see you in the next video. Happy shiny hunting, everyone. Bye.